Now, what about the people who are important to call that have not been called? For that purpose, go to the templates. Use the reports like, I mean, we actually do have, I think, a template in here for no history activity, but usually there is some history activity in Goldmine. You sent an email to them. You did some other activity. It just wasn't a call. So for that, you would be looking at a report on last activity. Now, if you do any of these reports that start with the word last closed sale, last completed call, your report is still going to show all of the it'll show all of the accounts that are in the database, all of the prospects that could have been called, but it will also show if there was no call made to them. It'll show them, but it will indicate as the date of the last call 1/1/1989. In other words, well, 1/1/1989 means they were never talked to. An earlier date, earlier than today or earlier than this year, might indicate a certain amount of neglect on that prospect, or there may be a good reason for it. When you do your summary report of last completed call. In fact, I'm just going to generate that one so that we are all sort of in agreement about what it means and how important it is. So this is going to generate a report of the last completed call for everybody that's in here, that's in your database, and allow you to see who was recently contacted, who was contacted but in the distant past, and then who has never been contacted. All three possibilities are represented here, and actually I'll just do a quick summary of these just by rolling up the years earlier than the current year. Now in this case we've got a kind of an older demo database, so bear with me that I don't have a lot of dates in the current year, in 2014. But really I've got three distinct types here: never been called, called in the distant past, and recently called. And you determine for yourself, both as a sales rep as well as a manager, what's important here. And of course you're not interested in just the numbers. You want to know who are these ones that have never been called and so on. That's where you start doing your refinement within the report. So say who's the sales rep? Okay, I'm really interested in Lori's accounts for the moment that have never been called, and you can add in other criteria that are going to home in here. Do we expect Lori to call everyone that's got her name on it, or only ones that are still qualified to buy from us? Well, if you've got a field over here that indicates qualified to buy, then you'd probably want to drop that in here as well and home in on these. But what's going to happen is that, fairly obviously, these numbers are going to get smaller, smaller, and smaller, but you still may be left with, oh, there's some lost leads. There's some leads under Lori's name that meet all the criteria that they should have been called, but they haven't been. Who are they? Double-click on the number to find out, because that's your list. That should be Lori's next calling list. Who do I need her to talk to? And the logical thing to do with this next is go to MasterMine, make a Goldmine group, put it under Lori's name, call these today, or whatever, or Toady. And there we're creating a call list for Lori that if she goes in here and, well, here, actually, let's do this. The logical thing for Lori to do then is, you let Lori know, all right, Lori, I've created a group for you. Its name is Call These Toady. And she could actually make her calls right from that list that you just created for her in Goldmine. She doesn't need to see necessarily a MasterMine report to do that, although I think it could be beneficial for you either to tell her I've created this call list, you should call them, or actually make your MasterMine report contain whatever information she needs to make those calls quickly. What's the number? Who's the person? What are your notes from the last call? So she actually could go through and make these calls right from the Excel spreadsheet and then complete them on the Goldmine side.